My name is Jennifer, and I'm 32 years old. I work in a professional job, and my husband, Donnie, is 30. We got married 2 years ago. Donnie can seem a bit unreliable, but he's a kind person and is good at handling housework. I'm focused on my career and enjoy the work I do. I work in the New York area, where hard work is recognized. However, the company may ask me to move to different locations, and there's no maternity leave or support for parents. Many women leave the company when they get married or have kids. At first, I didn't want to get married or have children because I preferred my job over housework. When Donnie proposed, I turned him down because I liked my job. I was already a section chief and wanted to climb higher in my career. I didn't think about settling down or having kids, but Donnie understood and promised we would share the housework and not have kids for a while. Eventually, I agreed to marry him because of his patience and understanding. Now that we are married, we both work. Sometimes we don't split chores exactly as planned, but we help each other, and it works out well. My in-laws sometimes make annoying comments, like asking if I'll prioritize my home or have kids, but it's not a big problem because Donnie always supports me. Living with Donnie has been great, and I've learned to appreciate married life. Then, one day, my supervisor, the department manager, called me about a possible transfer to a new office. He said the new office was a regional branch, and I would return to headquarters in 2 years. If I did well, I could be promoted to section chief at the new location, and even become the first female department head when I returned. It was a good opportunity. In my company, everyone who becomes a department manager or higher has had to go through a transfer. If you refuse a transfer, you could stay as a section chief or even be moved to an unimportant position. Before I got married, I would have accepted the transfer offer without thinking twice, but now, as a married woman, I felt unsure. I told my department manager, "Thank you for considering me. I'd like to think about it positively, but since it involves moving, I'd like to talk to my husband first. Can I get back to you after that?" He understood and said, "Right, you're married. You can decide whether to go alone or move with your family. Discuss it and let me know." I'm hoping for a positive answer. When I got home, I talked to Donnie about the offer. I explained, "I've been offered a transfer. I might have to move to the countryside, but if I do well for 2 years, I can return here and get promoted. I want to accept the offer, but I need to know if you're okay with it. We can either move together, or I can go alone. What do you think?" Donnie seemed surprised at first, but after thinking for a moment, he said, "If you accept this transfer, your dream could come true, right? I can't move with you because of my job here, but don't worry about me, go for it." With Donnie's support, I told my company that I would go alone for the transfer. I started negotiating the terms, and the company agreed to cover my moving expenses. They also agreed to treat me as on duty when commuting back home from my new location, and they offered a good benefits package. With all these conditions, I decided to accept the transfer to the branch office. I officially received the transfer order and made plans to move to the countryside. I could rent a company apartment for a low price, so I decided to live there. On the day of the move, the movers had already taken my things, and Donnie came to see me off at the station. "Thanks for seeing me off," Donnie said. "I'll keep in touch regularly, and I'll try to visit as often as I can." "Yeah, I'll be waiting. Just don't overwork yourself since you're working remotely," I replied. "You too, take care," Donnie said as I left. And so, my life as a remote employee began. I planned to visit home during long holidays and slower weeks, but things at the branch office didn't go as expected. Right after I transferred, trouble started. Some employees didn't trust me just because I was a woman, and they wouldn't acknowledge me. I became the target of rumors, and my instructions were ignored. My phone calls weren't even transferred. Then, a serious mistake happened in a project a subordinate was handling, and they deliberately kept me out of it. The subordinate was shocked, and since I was their supervisor, it was my responsibility to fix it. I had to deal with the problem, apologize, recover the lost work, and improve relationships with the team. My supervisor saw I was overwhelmed and gave me some advice. He said, "I understand your struggle, because I've been through a transfer myself. It might feel unfair, but you can't just force people to see things your way. It's important to communicate well, understand others, and build connections with them." Taking my supervisor's advice, I worked on connecting with the people at the branch. I spent more time with them and joined the neighborhood association, which was part of the company's rental housing community. Soon, I found it hard to find personal time for myself, and I couldn't make it home to be with Donnie. I kept in touch with him, But after a few months of working remotely, it became harder to reach him by phone or text at night. "I'm working late every day because work is tough," Donnie said. "I was exhausted and often fell asleep early because of how busy I was. I didn't suspect anything and focused on my work." One time, during a long holiday when things were slow, I decided to visit home in New York. However, I couldn't reach Donnie by phone or text, so I went back to New York without telling him. When I opened the door to my house, something felt off. Then a woman I didn't recognize rushed to the door and said, "Oh, welcome back. If I knew you were coming early, I would have prepared." Both of us were shocked, and there was an awkward silence. The woman spoke first, asking, "Who are you?" I replied, "Who are you? This is my home. There must be a mistake. I live here." We argued, and then decided to step outside to check the house number. To my surprise, the nameplate on the door was the custom one I had ordered. The key still fit, so I said, "This is my house, I'm going in." The woman protested, but I ignored her and went inside. Once inside, I saw everything had changed. The curtains, furniture, and even the decorations were different. There was a framed photo of Donnie and the woman at a theme park in the living room. I saw mugs I'd never seen before in the kitchen, and in the bathroom, there were unfamiliar toothbrushes, skin products, and women's shampoo. The bed linens were new, and there were no traces of my things left in the wardrobe, only the woman's clothes. Donnie's things were hidden in a back room, like the woman had moved in and taken over. I was still in shock when I heard the front door open. "Hi, I'm home," Donnie said. "Lola, did you invite a friend over?" Seeing him, I was stunned. "Justin?" I asked. "Since when did you become Justin? Can you explain what's going on?" Donnie looked shocked and said, "What are you doing here?" I confronted him, asking, "What's going on? Why are you calling yourself Justin?" He hesitated, and then said, "Well, this man's real name is Donnie, and I'm Donnie's wife, Jennifer." The woman, Lola, interrupted, saying, "That's a lie. He told me he was divorced." Donnie then explained, "Well, Jennifer, when you didn't come home, I was lonely, so I casually signed up for a dating app and met Lola." I was confused. "So, Justin is your fake name on the dating app?" Donnie replied, "No, it's not that. I thought using my real name would cause problems, so I used a fake name but kept my last name the same." I asked, "And why did Lola lie about being divorced?" Lola replied, "On my dating profile, I said I had only ever gone to all-girls schools and never dated a man before. I was looking for someone serious about a relationship and marriage." I felt hurt by what Donnie said, so I lied about being divorced to Lola, and we started living together. "Why would you do that?" I asked. Donnie then tried to justify his actions. "It's your fault for always being away for work. It's natural for a man to want a woman. We've been living separate lives because of your job and all the overtime. I just wanted a warm home, with dinner ready when I came home." I was shocked by his confession. I had always thought he was understanding of my work, but this didn't make his actions right. "That doesn't excuse what you did," I told him. "What you did is horrible. If you wanted to be with someone else, you should have divorced me first. Why didn't you do the right thing?" Donnie replied, "I loved you both. I never planned on leaving either of you." I was furious. "After everything you've done, it's obvious I would find out when I came back. It's unbelievable you thought you could hide this from me." He tried to blame me. "It's your fault for breaking your promise and not coming back. If you just came home, I never would have cheated." Our argument turned into a shouting match, and the woman Donnie had been seeing stood there, pale, realizing she'd been tricked by a married man. The other woman finally realized she had been lied to, and said, "So it was all a lie? You made a fool of me. I'm leaving right now." Lola tried to leave, but Donnie tried to stop her. "Wait, it's not what you think," he said, but she pushed him away, saying, "Don't touch me with your filthy hands. I can't believe a word you say," and left for her parents' house. After everything that happened, I decided to get back at Donnie by gathering as much evidence as I could. Once I returned to my work assignment, I hired a private detective to look into Donnie's mistress. The detective found out that she was the daughter of an executive at one of Donnie's business partners. I had a lawyer send proof of the affair to both Donnie's family and the other woman's parents. When Donnie's family got the documents, he protested, saying he didn't want a divorce. I prepared myself for a long fight, even considering taking the case to court. The other woman's family contacted my lawyer, and we agreed to meet at their office. The other woman and her parents showed up and apologized to me, saying, "We're so sorry, even though we didn't know about it. Our daughter caused you so much trouble." The other woman and her parents explained that their daughter was very sheltered and naive. She had always dreamed of a more free and romantic love, so when she met my husband on a dating app, she didn't realize who he really was. She thought he was divorced and wanted to move in with him. Despite their warnings, she didn't listen and ran away from home to be with him. The other woman was devastated when she realized she had been the other woman in an affair and blamed herself. She was now seeing a therapist to cope. Her parents offered me a settlement of $50,000 and asked me to keep the matter private. I told them I would accept their apology on one condition: I was preparing for a divorce, but Donnie refused to agree to it. If they were willing to testify if the case went to trial, I would accept the settlement. They agreed to cooperate but didn't want a permanent record of this affair, so they asked if there was any other way to help punish Donnie. I realized that Donnie's workplace was a client of the other woman's family, and we decided to work together to teach him a lesson. His workplace would soon face issues because he had angered a powerful executive at one of their client companies. This would all be blamed on Donnie. Meanwhile, Donnie's parents, unaware of the situation, were trying to contact him, worried about why I wasn't answering their calls. They blamed me for not being home, saying I was too focused on my job. When Donnie confessed to them that he had cheated, his mother sided with him, blaming me for neglecting him. Donnie's parents kept calling and even showed up at my workplace, creating a scene. They told me to let Donnie go and stop standing in the way of his happiness with his lover. I told them I wanted a divorce, but Donnie was refusing. I also mentioned that the woman he had an affair with didn't want him back. When Donnie's parents realized their son had angered a major client, they quickly changed sides. They apologized to me, but I refused to forgive them. I told them to leave, and when they didn't, I had them escorted out by security. My company decided to sue Donnie's parents for business obstruction because of the scene they caused. After all that, I finally received my compensation from Donnie and got my divorce. The other woman's family also demanded compensation for the harm to their daughter's reputation and her therapy costs. With all the losses and debts from his mistakes, Donnie was struggling financially and couldn't quit his job. 2 years had passed since my assignment started. By the time everything was settled, I had successfully completed my assignment and was preparing to return to the main office. My hard work had paid off, and I had been promoted to department manager. If I hadn't taken that assignment, I might still be stuck in a loveless marriage. But I realized that someone like Donnie would have had an affair sooner or later, and I would have always clashed with his parents. Now, I've realized that I am better suited for work than family life, and I am incredibly fulfilled and happy.